Hello everyone, today I will be ranking all the Nintendo home game consoles, including the Nintendo Switch. All of these consoles will be ranked in my opinion, so don't start destroying your laptop if I have a different opinion. The consoles I will be ranking will be the NES, SNES, Nintendo 64, GameCube, Wii U, and the Nintendo Switch, and the NES and SNES Classic. The tiers will be D, C, B, A, and S tier. Let's get started. The NES, or Nintendo Entertainment System. This game console saved the video game industry. The NES originated from the Famicom. How did the console get so chunky? They wanted to make the console bigger so it could appeal for an American audience. It takes so much room on your shelf. Okay, let's talk about the controller. The controller was amazing at the time. It had 2 buttons instead of 1. This was amazing because there are more inputs that allow more creativity for the game. There was a D-pad instead of a giant joystick. The D-pad was smaller and was good for playing platformers. If you compare the NES's controllers to today's controllers, they're pretty outdated and lack inputs and is uncomfortable to hold. Meanwhile, the games, this console introduced Kirby and Legend of Zelda. Nintendo made Mario into a 2D platforming game, and it was a great game at the time. It's not amazing today. The console is very old, and it and its games would not appeal to modern gamers. This console was very good at its time, but it's not so good. It would be in B tier. The SNES, an upgrade from 8-bit to 16-bit. The cartridges were 2 times as small as the NES's, which is easier to carry around and store. The controller was a major upgrade from the NES's. The SNES's controllers were curved this time, so they were more easier to hold. The SNES had a couple more inputs, like has a Y and X button, and plus has shorter buttons which were called L and R. By the way, the games were amazing. They were colorful and creative and had way much more features. There are only a few problems. Most modern SNESs turn a nasty yellow and green. Ew.
Disgusting!
And finally, the racing games are painful to look at because of the background design, but other than that, the SNES is a really good game console. A tier. The N64, or Nintendo 64, it was Nintendo's step into 3D games. This console had very memorable games like Zelda Ocarina of Time, Mario Party, Mario Kart 64, GoldenEye, and Mario 64. All these games were amazing and creative. These games are probably better than the SNES's games. This was Nintendo's first time to add 4-player games too. The N64 also had expansions like the Rumble Pack and N64 Expansion Pack, and allowed more advanced and complicated games to be played. Now let's talk about the cartridge problem. The N64 had 2 cartridges which held less storage for games. Most third-party developers had trouble trying to put their games on the N64, and third parties would probably want to put their games on the PlayStation because discs hold more storage and cost less to produce. Nintendo wanted to avoid piracy, so they kept cartridges, which was a bad idea. Also, the N64 sold less than the PlayStation. The N64 sold 32 million units, which compared to the previous 50 million units from the SNES and 61 million units from the NES, that is bad. The PlayStation sold 150 million units. Wow, Nintendo got crushed. The N64's controller is kind of odd too. It has 3 thighs, which was odd because the PlayStation had 2 thighs. One way to hold the Nintendo 64 controller is to hold the middle and right, which is how you play 3D games. But the way you play 2D games is holding the left and right thigh. Also, they got rid of the Y and X button. Why? They added left, right, up, and down arrow near the B and A button. The N64 has a Z trigger in the back in place to put your Rumble Pack or other expansions. The N64 overall is an amazing game console and has a great library of games. It goes in A tier and is a little better than the SNES. The GameCube is a gaming console in the form of a cube. Where's GameSpear? I think that the design of the GameCube is quite portable and hilarious. The GameCube has a handle which you can hold onto while traveling. The controller is amazing. People might think, it is odd, the Y and X button are switched around. No, the controller's design is amazing. Y and A is in a good spot because you can lay your fingers over the Y for speed and then jump by pressing A in platformers. The joysticks are pretty easy to hold, and they don't break like the N64's. The GameCube controller is so amazing that they are still selling it today for Smash Bros. Also, there was a type of GameCube controller that was wireless, which was amazing for Nintendo at the time. The games were incredible, like Mario Sunshine, The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, Super Smash Bros. Melee, Mario Party 4 through 7, Mario Strikers, Mario Kart Double Dash, Animal Crossing, and way more. Like the N64, the GameCube has games that can have 4 players. There was add-ons like the LCD screen for the GameCube and the Game Boy Player, which lets you play Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games. I wish this console sold better. The problem with the GameCube game discs were that they were not big as normal discs because they wanted to avoid piracy like the N64 cartridges. They couldn't hold as much storage as normal discs like the PS2 discs or the Xbox discs. Other than that, this was a legendary piece of gaming. S tier. At this point, Nintendo has been declining popularity and their business standards, going from 60 million to 50 million to 30 million to 20 million consoles sold.
I'm in danger!
But this console saved them. The Wii. Where do I start? Okay, let's talk about the main gimmick first. The motion controllers, which were controlled by these unique controllers. Some people love them and some people don't like them. I like them. You point the controller at this motion bar and TV to make your cursor moves, which a lot of games use. This feature can be bad or good depending how the game uses them. For example, Wii Sports, a great game which uses the Wii remote as a bat or a golf ball club and more, but other games that use motion controllers for unnecessary reasons, or if there's a delay, then the motion controls are bad and annoying. Speaking of the Wii remote, there are a lot of controller options. The nunchuck, which plugs into the Wii remote and has a joystick, and two shoulder buttons named Z and C. The Wii Classic controller, just basically a SNES controller with two joysticks and two extra shoulder buttons, but still a really good option to choose. Wii Classic Pro, which has two thighs and a comfortable way to play 2D platformers or 3D platformers. The Wii Classic and Wii Classic Pro aren't used in many games as the Wii remote and the nunchuck, but always a good choice when they're compatible. There are a section of games that are for returning players, but a section of games for new people, which is probably why it sold 110 million units, because people that don't game that much pick these up because of the console's simple games to learn and master, and active fun ones like Wii Sports or Wii Fit. There are a lot of virtual console games too, such as NES, SNES, and N64. Also on the original model, you can plug a GameCube controller in it and play GameCube games, which there was a lot of good games on that system. The Wii channel was a splendid feature. You can check the date, time, and temperature. If you want, you can just throw your phone away and bring a white box everywhere you go. Overall, this system was legendary and saved Nintendo. The Wii goes into S tier, higher than GameCube. The Wii U. I thought Nintendo was back on track, but this console happened. The Wii U is just a Wii flipped on its side with a connectable tablet and that lazy name. I have a Wii U and it serves me well, but I'm trying to be fair. Let's talk about the good first. The Wii U gamepad is a controller, but there's a screen which is touchable kind of like the DS or 3DS, but with the TV and gamepad. The Wii U also has backwards compatibility, which was likely, plus you can use the controllers from the Wii to play some Wii U games, which was amazing. There was a good selection of games like Mario 3D World and Smash Bros. For Wii U, but we didn't get a Zelda game until Breath of the Wild, but when that released, the Nintendo Switch was out with the Breath of the Wild. This console had lack of main series games on the system, like Mario 3D World was the only main series Mario game on that system. The controller they added was the Wii U Pro controller, which is just the Wii Classic Pro, but wireless. Overall, since the Wii succeeded so much, the Wii U tried to use its advantage to make money and sell consoles, but failed. They were lazy by not adding that much features like controllers or new main series line games other than a tablet. C tier. The Nintendo Switch, back to good and amazing again. Nintendo Switch was portable and a home game system, which was unexpected and exciting. The handheld screen with these types of controllers sticked on called Joy-Cons, which can detach from the system and be used as a controller, or you can use one Joy-Con sideways. The Switch can be placed in the dock, which the system can be displayed on the TV. There are more controller options like the Pro Controller or GameCube Controller or N64 or NES or SNES. This system had Virtual Console with the NES, SNES, and N64 games. The Nintendo Switch has games such as Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Odyssey, Super Mario Party, Kirby the Forgotten Land, Smash Bros. Ultimate, and way more. I remember the Wii U failed so hard that Nintendo ported almost every game from it, like Mario Kart and Super Mario Bros. U. There are a few problems. The products of this console are overpriced, like the $60 games or $80 controllers. The Joy-Con drift, which is an overused complaint, and the lack of content in this year's video games from Nintendo. Other than that, this console is the best out of every console. I use it so much because of the great gimmicks, great games, and this console is portable and able to play on the TV. This goes in S tier, above the Wii. The NES Classic. Not a lot to say about this console. This console is more smarter than the original and has a pre-installed library of the games on the NES on this console. This console goes into B tier above the NES. The SNES Classic, just basically just the SNES, but more smaller and has pre-installed games on the SNES on it. A tier above SNES. Okay, that's it. If this video gets 10 likes, I will make a part 2 ranking other models of the console, like such as the Wii Mini or Nintendo Switch OLED model. Thank you for watching this video. Have a great day. Bye.